And welcome to another episode of Keeping It Orange and Blue. I'm Ryan Evan, joined as always by my main man, Urbana's finest, Kevin Ducey. How's your weekend, man? I know you went traveling, a little trip. How was your weekend?
It was good. I was out at a work conference. Really pretty cool. I got to see lots of space supercars off. Are you getting on this?
I can hear you to a degree. You're kind of, it's all right though.
So
Okay.
I don't know what's going on with the audio.
I can hear you though. Just keep going. You're fine.
Big air. Called a bunch of summer league guys. Work conference. Got off to work.
Yeah. So, I mean, going to Vegas, never been, but it looks amazing. So, probably never had a bad trip, but I'll be there at one point. So, a lot going on with the podcast and our sponsor, of course, Hometown Hype Apparel. You see, Kevin and I are kicking some butt with wearing our shirts here, and we do appreciate Scott Davies at hometownhypeapparel.com. Obviously, they feel good. They look good. That's right, koozies. I mean, but Kev, I know we've been talking about it on social media. We got some Keeping It Orange and Blue swag, some shirts, some merch coming, and it's officially live right now. You go to hometownhypeapparel.com. We have our own little link there. We have our own little special spot on his site for Keeping It Orange and Blue. 3 different shirts. So obviously white, blue, orange. The orange one's my personal favorite. Me and Kev got together and we got a collage of sayings, our favorite sayings, some fun sayings from the show, and just some other fun ones that when you see us at the games this year, you might get a chuckle out of them. But the blue one's really sharp. I know people who like the white one, but I love the orange one. So I'm going to be wearing the orange one at the Toledo game. And Kev, if Kevin's able to make the game in Lawrence, Kansas, I know he'll have one of those shirts on.
I'm orange, dude.
Oh, yeah. So he's going to be wearing that. So go get yours. I already know. He told me he's got booming. I know he's got at least 10 ordered already within a couple hours. So if you guys love, to update your Illini gear, go to hometownhypeapparel.com. I posted tons of links of them. I'll post them again. We're going to have our own spot on 200columns.com with them, but you can also get a hold of him at 217-278-0120. We have a promo code right now, orange and blue, get you 10% off your first order. Again, Hometown Hype Apparel is about your local school, hometown, whatever. Get some new gear, get some new fresh, updated stuff that, just freshen it up. And I know you can never get too much Illini gear, so we're excited about that. He's been an awesome partner and sponsor and hooking us up, so we're both excited about that. So a great way to finish this weekend.
Yeah, let me real quick. I never thought that I'd have the opportunity to be part of sports in the fashion. By that, I always wanted something to do with sports. I wanted to be able to get some paper for. And I tried to early on be able to do the lines. And this podcast is the opportunity to do it, not fan. And to be there.
Yeah. And I'm glad, Kev. I'll respond to you too on Twitter where I saw what you said, about being super stoked and excited to just be able to do this even to a degree. And I will tell you, we have a niche for sure, but it's a nice niche that continues to grow. And I'm beyond excited about it. And, Kevin's having a little bit of audio, but I can hear about 80% of what he's saying. Let's try this here.
I tried to hop back in. Am I good?
There you go.
Am I good?
Yeah, you're good.
Better sound?
Better sound, yeah.
Right on, we're good.
All right. I can hear a little bit of an echo of me, but that's fine.
Just having trouble, dude.
It's all right. Long weekend in Vegas, man. It happens. So But anyway, I'm glad to have you on board here at Keeping It Orange and Blue, and the sky's the limit. So we're both thrilled, about where this podcast can go, and we're just happy that we can deliver the most informative, I'd say, insightful, but also fun podcast for all the people who care about it. And we're thrilled if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. I'm working on getting this set up for Twitch. So eventually, I know there's a lot of Twitchers out there, and we'll be going live on that. So, yeah, we're about to hit the first topic. But before we do, let's look here. I'm going to look at the chat because we like to interact with people listening. Let's see here. Yes, Kevin has a delay and an echo. Very wise words, Marcus. I think it's a little better now, but that's fine. I don't hear myself anymore. That's good. Adam Gillespie. No. Did you see the dumbass at Sleepers Media take a shot at you guys last week? Oh, wow. I mean, they took a shot at us, Kev, but I know Kev was commenting and tweeting at some of the stuff that they were saying. And I got to be honest with you, though, they can take whatever shots they want at us, because at the end of the day, I have twice as many followers as them, and this show gets twice as many views every week. So I could care less. I just want everybody to understand that. And if you don't believe me, it's not that. Don't worry about what it says on YouTube views. Look at our live feed views and then add up our YouTube views. And then I could send and show you all of our Spotify and Apple podcast listens. And I guarantee you that there'll be more than Sleepers Media, because at the end of the day, that's literally just a troll podcast. Okay. I used to have some respect for Greg to a degree. I've never had respect for Carter, and that's okay, because he's taking shots at me for no reason, and that's whatever. But Greg, I thought was like an Illini fanish type, but it's like they're just trolling. And so I don't even worry about what they say, because they don't care about quality at all. So, yeah, they don't care about quality. They just want to coach. Oh, I hear you, man. They don't care about quality. They just want people to watch what they say. So
it's a unique situation here, right? You're nobody till somebody hates you. You're nobody till somebody kills you. Like, we're gonna get the haters. We're gonna get the flex on them. I argue with Greg Waddell. He was talking about Illinois would not be a better shooting basketball team compared to last year, and then he brought up career statistics, right? He brought up RJ Melendez's career statistics, which, even though he only took 15 threes as a freshman, upped his percentage by almost 6%. Where if you compare that to Justin Harmon's percentage from last year, I mean, they're just doing some things. And then, by the way, Sleepers, hypocrisy much, comes out and blasts Hunter Dickinson today. And they've been going off on how Illinois fans, all we do is blast players who leave. Like, I don't know, like, yeah, we might have taken some shots at Epps or Clark, because I think the way that they left was kind of bogus. I've seen more people congratulatory of what Pods has done. I've seen more people support Adam Miller and what Adam Miller has done. Like, I've seen a lot of people come and support Andre Cabello, because they understood that there were circumstances that contributed to these guys needing or wanting to leave that might not have been all on their own. The fact of the matter is that Sky Clark quit on a team in the middle of the season. Jaden Epps basically he quit when in the middle of the Northwestern game at home, and he stopped reading the playbook. I mean, a lot of stuff came out, and then he bashed Brad Underwood after the fact, which is affecting some of our recruiting on the East Coast. So, yeah, as fans, we're going to be mad about that, right? We've got a right to. And Hunter Dickinson says he doesn't think that Michigan is a real Midwest town, and then he gets fired on by the Sleepers guys who bitch about Illinois. It's just hypocrisy at its finest. But, hey, listen, I dig it. I get really excited about the fact that we have haters, because that means we're making a mark, and let's keep doing it, dude.
Yeah, 100%. That's fine. Again, I'm more of a quality and quantity together, and we have both of those over the Sleepers Media, so that's fine. I got to be honest. I think it looks sharp, but this looks plenty fine. This looks good. I did this myself. I created it. I have no experience in video graphic design. I just made this myself. I've had some people help me with making a couple things, but I've had to put this together myself. I pay for this myself. So again, I had no experience, no degree in any of that stuff. But that's great. They might look a little better, but again, not quality and sure as hell not quantity. So they can keep on trolling away. Now, Coach, I know he's had some issues with his child over the years and, some big medical serious issues. I'm glad that we can be in a distraction while you're at Barnes. I can tell you this. I've said prayers for you and your child for years, and I'll continue to. And I hope that she does get better and things medically, financially, and the bill situation get better, okay? Because I know that is no joke. And the hospitals and medical providers don't care how much money it costs to get your daughter right. But I just pray that she's continues to thrive and you're able to keep your daughter in your life. So that's what I got to say.
Yeah, Coach, prayers up. May the Holy Spirit bless you and your family and all that can happen. And I just can't imagine what you're going through, man. It's there's certain things in life that, I pray for too. I'll talk about this. Like I was at this conference this week, and there's certain things that we do in life, and I'm going to do a little bit more on this in this podcast. I'm going to talk some really real stuff here, but there's two earthly things that I pray for to my Savior, Jesus Christ, and that is that I can bury my parents and that my children can bury me. And that's because parents aren't intended to bury their child. And when you're in a situation and you're at Barnes, that obviously becomes a reality. And I'm not trying to speak ill, Coach. Like it becomes a reality of thought, right? That process or that possibility enters your brain. And for that, I pray for you. I empathize with you, man. Like I can't imagine what that must be like, what you're going through, man. And so please, like all prayers up for Coach's daughter, all the supporters of Orange and Blue, keeping it orange and blue. Please, if you can, reach out to the Holy Spirit. You don't believe it can happen. You don't believe it can change things. If you're a believer, you can go read Acts of the Apostles and you can see right there the healing power that prayer and the resources that we do have to potentially make that happen. And if you're not a believer and I've turned you off, I apologize for that. It's who I am. It's what I believe. It's what Ryan believes. And that doesn't mean that we hold any disdain for people who don't share our beliefs. So
that's when I can tell you this. I'm not going to go overboard and just pollute people with that on Twitter. But for my social media, like I usually keep religion and politics out of things. But one thing I won't, and I think it's perfectly fine, is if you're praying for somebody who needs it and who is in a dire strait, I don't have any problem with that. Because if that offends somebody, then I guess doing the right thing offended you, and I apologize. But
it's the most right thing that we know as Christians, right? It's the most, and
not right to offend you, but like to try to help someone who is hurting instead of trying to like turn your cheek and just say, oh, whatever, it's life. That's no. So I think having some empathy and things is good. I think everybody should have some of that.
Absolutely.
So now with saying that, Coach, I hope we can get back on to, we'll talk a little Illini for you here, another half hour or so. So let's talk about Mr.
Quiet week, man. Not a lot going on.
I know. And before the show, I was thinking, what could we talk about tonight? I'm like, we always have something we can chat about. So I was like, that's why like during the season, we probably will do a couple. We'll have some weeks where we do two. If there's a lot going on, the hoop season and the football season are intertwining, I'll probably try to do a quicker one in the middle of the week at times. Or if I've got like a big interview with somebody, Kevin will like to pop on. So there'll be weeks where we do two of these. But for the most part, especially for football season, we really only need to do one. Like we can talk about next week's game and all that fun stuff. But so Phil Steele, who probably the most respected college football magazine and maybe even our journalist or recruiting analyst, whatever, team guy, came out with his book, it was about a month ago. But then of late, there was a big post about his rankings of teams and their position groups. So Phil Steele has Illinois' offensive line, Kevin, at 54. I got to be honest with you. I'm not the only one that's a little odd or weirded out about it, but because he has their defensive line at 13th, which I even think is probably off, probably by a few. But, can you really complain if he's saying it's a top 15 defensive line? He has them like third or fourth in the Big Ten, though, the D line. And I got to be honest, I think that's just going to motivate those guys to a degree even more. But the offensive line, that's like a joke. That's like saying it's a mid offensive line. It's like they're literally right in the middle of like 100 and whatever group power 5 team, group of 5 to 128 or something. So they're 54. I just feel like there's something missing there. Maybe he's not sure about, some of the pieces now that Vidarian Lowe's gone and Palczewski's gone. And I think Alex, Pilstrom's gone. I think he's wondering, like, how are they going to fill in that gap? But, I mean, Illinois' depth-wise on the offensive line, I felt like had good depth with Slaughter coming back. You got Chrysler coming back. You got Isaiah Adams. You got Julian Pearl. I mean, I just am kind of surprised that, and then they had one or two nice additions in the transfer portal. And so, to me, I was just really shocked, Kevin, that he's got Illinois at 54. I'm sure you're looking at stuff right now, it looks like.
Yeah, I am. I'm trying to look it up because there were some things that really bothered me there. And the aspect of this that, like 54, I think I'm trying to remember where, like, the gap between Illinois, I think, and Wisconsin was Wisconsin the second highest he had in the Big Ten. I
got to be honest, man. From looking at his position group rankings, he thinks Wisconsin's winning the West because I'll actually pull it up here, everything he's got, because I tweeted a buddy of mine posted it, and I couldn't refuse by saying, oh my gosh, like that's super disrespectful. I'll find it here, but he's got Wisconsin in almost every category within here we go. So quarterbacks, okay? He's got Wisconsin at 35. So he's got Tua at 17. He's got Michigan at 18. And he's got Ohio State 43, Cade McNamara 45, Penn State at Drew Aller at 54. But then we go to running backs. He's got Wisconsin at 5. Quarterback 35, Wisconsin 5, Wisconsin 36 at receiver, Wisconsin 18 at offensive line, and Illinois at 54. He's got defensive line, Wisconsin at 31, Wisconsin at 6 at their linebacking core.
He's very bullish on Wisconsin.
Wisconsin 27 with their defensive backs. And he's got Wisconsin 25 special team. So it looks like the 3 areas he's given respect to Illinois to a degree is he's got defense, Illinois 13 defensive line, 37 linebackers, and 36 defensive backs. But offensively, man, he's got Illinois' O-line 54 and receivers at 58 and nothing for running backs.
So there's the challenge in that, right? So receivers are 4 spots below the offensive line. Let's look at that, right? And what I meant is Illinois was next to Wisconsin in offensive line, I think, by the Big Ten rankings, but it was a drop off of like 20 some spots. Dude, Illinois returns Julian Pearl and Isaiah Adams, who are by most prognosticators believed to be NFL guys, right?
Yeah.
Zach Chrysler, in my opinion, as well, is an NFL guy. But Pearl and Adams are most likely higher draft. They're going to be drafted, and Palczewski and Lowe were not, right? So you return 3/5 of an offensive line that was a top 30 offensive line, a Joe Moore Award finalist. I think that was a little overblown. I just think it was a little short-sighted, and I find it hard to believe that Illinois has the 5th best defensive line in the conference when you return Randolph and Newton. I just think there's some levels of this that just are really
well, bad. And not just that, but Jake is coming back, and Seth Coleman's there.
Wait a second, those guys are the linebackers, and that's the linebacking unit. He had 7th, right? And I just find it. I find it odd. You know what? And that's okay. I think there's going to be a level of this team that's going to come in and have to have a chip on their shoulders. And that's all right. Illinois is going to have to play like nobody respects us. And that's okay. Yeah, so Wisconsin had the 18th best offensive line in the country, and the next best is Illinois at 54th. So Wisconsin is 36 spots better than us in offensive line returning. We were a better offensive line than they were last year. I
mean, and they didn't. I don't think they return everybody either. So
they might return a lot of guys, but it was just crazy. And you know, like Coach says, second best defensive line in the conference at worst, and I'm kind of in agreement with you. Maybe third. I mean, there's an argument to be made between Ohio State and Michigan, in my opinion. But to have Iowa and Penn State in front of us, I don't quite get it. I just now Phil's is the number one magazine, in my opinion, for the sports better. So you know what? It's just we're gonna have to come out and figure it out. And you know, special teams got us at 54th, but like 6th or 7th in the conference. I'm like, we return everybody on a special teams unit. When you look at the second half of the season, you talk about Robertson. It's like it's a pretty good special teams unit too. So I'm going to argue with it. I think he sells us a little short, especially in linebackers, offensive line, and special teams. Now the other stuff, defensive line's a little bit short, but he's got his 13th, right? So if he moves us up to a 10th, okay, I'm not that mad about it because it's 13th overall. He's got Penn State as the third best defensive line, which I think is very overblown. Ohio State 4, Iowa 5. Michigan 6, Illinois 13. But where, you know, I mean, quarterback, you know, yeah, Altmaier hasn't proven himself. Running back, I mean, we're way down the charts. Yeah, a lot of guys haven't proven themselves. They've proven themselves in short stints. But I think we're all in agreement that the Illinois running back room this year as a whole is probably better. We don't have Chase Brown, who I think was a dynamic player. I think Cincinnati got a steal in him in the 5th round, and I think he's going to prove it. But we've got more depth in the fact that we've got more guys we can lean on, and I think that'll prove itself towards the end of the season, especially.
And you know, we're just to touch on your Chase Brown, man. I think it's how cool is that for him, you know, to jump into that situation with Joe Burrow, and looks like Mixon's coming back on a cheaper deal, so he won't have to be running back one right away. He'll probably be their third down back.
Yeah, it's Mixon than Chase, and Mixon isn't every down back. I mean, he can catch the ball, but Chase is going to get some series, man. That's all there is to it. So that's exciting.
Yeah, gotta love that situation for him. But again, I respect Phil Steele so much, but I'm like, to me, it's as good for the team because let me tell you, if you don't think Brett Bielema's talking to them and showing them this, oh, he is, because he respects Phil Steele a lot. And you know, he was talking about how he just got off the phone with Phil Steele, did his interview with him about the guys, and Brett Bielema knows what this team is, and I'm super excited about it. Brett Bielema's not going to hype up a team like talking about it's, you know, there was that Rose Bowl tweet he made where it's like, you know, coming sooner than you think, and like he ain't doing that if the team has no capability to back it up. Okay, like. This ain't Tim Beckman stuff where Tim Beckman's talking about we're playing for Big Ten championships when, you know, you can't even get past 6 wins. So
jump on my Twitter. I reposted it. It's Bielema, the American Football Coaches Association, and listen to the way the guy talks. I've said it again.
Everybody's got a job, Kevin.
Yep. Kudos to Mike Cagley and what he said. He called him a CEO. How long have I been saying that on this show? Like almost since day one is how Brett's been running this program. But I know other people have said it too. I wouldn't say that I originated the idea, but that is what he's saying. He's like, I cannot be the defensive coordinator. I am the head coach. That doesn't mean that I don't take ideas. That means it's just incredible. I am so thrilled with what he's doing, and everything I hear about the cohesiveness of this team is something that's going to build itself for the long run. Now, the question is, if we start like, but we can't. Like, I mean, there's some prognosticators that have us top 25, some that don't. I don't think there's a lot of we can read our own hype, but I do think we did that a little bit last year towards the end of the year in the Michigan State Purdue games, and I think maybe the Indiana game was a blessing in disguise, maybe. But I do kind of wonder, like, hey man, we have a really tough schedule. I alluded to this the last week. We talked about Toledo, talked about Kansas and FAU, all really good teams. And we're gonna get tested right off the bat, and so we got to get out there and get it. And Sean asked, you know, Sean Garner, our guy.
We're gonna do that closer to the season.
Yes, absolutely. But I mean, you can follow my Twitter. I'll tell you. So.
Yeah. So, But I'm excited about that. But I can tell you, me and Kev both have lofty expectations for the team, and I'm going to have fun when we go do our conference schedule breakdown and season predictions and things. But I can tell you what I love about the schedule. We'll talk about it briefly here. You got to think about this. So you start out with Toledo, who won 9 games last year, won the MAC, right?
Yep.
That's probably going to be the best team in the MAC again.
Yep.
Athletic quarterback, right? He was at the Manning camp too. Super athletic quarterback. Now, what can Illinois take from that, right? Well, guess who they play in week 2?
Another athletic quarterback, Jaden Daniels. By the way, they were 6-1 with him as a starter last year.
Yes. So tough kid, but Illinois is going to be ready for that because they got that in week 1, and they're going to be used to a guy running around who's accurate. But I can tell you this: Kansas probably didn't play many defensive lines like Illinois last year.
This is true.
So it's all fun and games when you got time in the pocket.
This is the thing. I don't think we're going to be able to shut down Kansas. And man, I cannot wait to break this down. And I don't want to overlook Toledo. That's a really good football team.
No.
That's the home opener. I've got faith in the staff there. But Kansas defense is not good, and I don't think that's a recipe for beating Illinois. You've got to be able to get Illinois in a lot of 3 and outs if you want to beat this team. And I don't think that Kansas has the manpower to do that. And so we get an extra day before playing Penn State. We got Big Noon at home. Good Lord, if you're 2-0, it sets up really nice for the schedule there for Illinois. So
and then that heads into FAU. So really, while FAU is not a cupcake, to me, your first 3 games line up to me probably where it's like really good team. Okay, good team, really good team, great team. And then, or even maybe not great, but very good Penn State team. So that's going to probably be a top 10 Penn State team on September 16th. And so that's going to be interesting, and that's going to be fun. And so, yeah, it's just, to me, it works out perfectly because the level of competition works like you would hope. It's like a step, right?
Yep.
And so Illinois is going to be ready for Penn State because it's like they've already played 2 bowl teams in a row.
And there's so many other good things that happen to us on their schedule. Like I was listening to the guy from TNT, and we'll bring him on the podcast here shortly, is like, yeah, Penn State doesn't have Sean Clifford anymore. Sean, you're exactly right.
It's a redshirt freshman named Drew Aller.
Drew Aller, yep. And just look at who who Nebraska plays before they play Illinois. Go look at who Purdue plays around Illinois. There's some nice advantages in there. And Coach said it too. Coach, down there at Barnes, he said, hey, our front 7 returns a lot of experience, lessen the burden on an unproven secondary. 100%. I think last year we had a nice mix. I do think that our secondary as a whole was probably better than our front 7. I think that's inverse this year. I think the front 7 is going to be better. I think Charlie Boulin has got some things and some tricks up his sleeve that is a little bit different from what Kevin Kane was running. I'm excited. I think he's got a little bit more depth this year. With Holmes being back, you add that with Bryant, Yakis, Coleman. You've got a lot of depth and versatility there. My boy Otaluga coming in from the middle on some blitzes. So I think Illinois will run some stunts and do some things aggressively on the front 7 side of things that will protect the back 7, the back 4 or 5. But if you will, I do think there's some really good pieces back there that, Matt Bailey, Taz Nicholson, and then there's some the transfer from Louisville, our guy Demetrius Hill,
our guy from FIU, Demetrius Hill, Nicario Harper.
Yep.
And then you got Caleb Patterson, the JUCO. You still got, we got Xavier Scott, who played a lot last year, but Tyler Strain, the quick Tyler Strain is going to be a guy name we'll hear a lot of. Sean Garner, I would say Reggie Love and Josh McCray are going to be getting the most carries. And then you're going to probably see there's going to be packages where you see Jordan Anderson and Caden Fagan probably, and Aiden Lawfrey too. So I'm thinking Lawfrey is going to be either kick return or punt return. He's just an explosive athlete who is the fastest guy on the team. Let me tell you, he is jacked.
He's the fastest guy on the team now because I don't think Kamari Wilcher's in camp yet. So that should be interesting too. Kamari Wilcher will get some he'll get. I mean, he's a slot receiver, but he's going to get some of those bubble screens, some reverses, and things and stuff like that. Sean asks, "Is Malik Elsley going to start at receiver?" I start game
Nope.
one. No, I
No.
don't think so. But he's going to play. He's going to see the field.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying too. I like the mix. I think you're going to see some Hank Beatty, way more Hank Beatty too.
Yeah,
he's earned his time. He's a tough kid. He makes tough catches.
Yeah.
Yep. And guess what? I know there's a motivated kid named Sean Miller.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Ian Pugh. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, and we're only talking, Coach Anderson, goal line, short yardage. Yep. Scat back roll for Lafrey. I'm digging it.
And Jordan Anderson's got great hands too. Something is understated. Jordan Anderson has great hands.
And, yes, and Sean, Pat Bryant. Can't forget. And look, Casey Washington, Pat Bryant, Isaiah Williams. I can assure you, those three are going to be seeing the field a lot.
That's the starting trio of wide receiver, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that just is what it is. You'd like to get more out of Tip Ryman. There are resources, there are assets that Lunny and Altmaier have at their disposal. That's a little bit different than it was last year. And listen, we had some decent wide receivers last year. We had the three guys we mentioned. We had Hightower. But we're going to get some more speed in there. We're going to get guys like Elsie and Wilcher and Beatty and Lawfrey and Anderson and trying to find ways to get the latter guys in the ball in space and see what they can do with it. And I think we got an offensive line that's going to provide them some time. We've got a JUCO transfer coming in that could play some. We got Krutz, we got Slaughter. There's just depth here, right? So I'm excited.
Yep. So, man, it's as much as we sit here and wait, like we'd wish it was September 2nd. We know it's coming. I'm going to enjoy the camp process. I'm going to enjoy seeing and hearing the updates and knowing, oh, this dude's looking great. Boom, Altmaier's sharp. It's McCray's looking healthy. That process to get ready for the game Saturday, September 2nd, is one to enjoy because it's here. We're 2 weeks away from camp starting. So, so now let's transition to a degree. And again, we appreciate everybody watching us on YouTube who've subscribed. That thing's booming up. Almost 300 subscribers there. So we appreciate you. Keep on checking that out. And all the people who watch on Twitter, and we appreciate you there. That's one of the one I've always focused it on, to be able to watch it live. And then, of course, everybody who listens on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But let's move to some football recruiting, Kev. And who's next?
Everybody wants to know that.
Yeah, because
who's next?
Who is next in Family 24? And you know what? I've already given you guys some hints. I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but
Joe, what?
Yeah, Josiah Knight. If you guys don't notice, when I'm putting my crystal balls in, while it's not a lock, okay, I'm doing that for a reason. It's like breadcrumbs for people, like hints. I put in Josiah Knight last week, okay, from Florida, and a defensive end, outside linebacker that Charlie Bullen is working on, and this kid's been digging what he's got to say, and Cincinnati's in on him. Georgia Tech looked like maybe a favorite for a while until Illinois really, honed in on him and pushing for it. So he posted his tweet on Friday about his decision for August 18th. And what's funny is, like, 4 hours before that, I posted my tweet, right? I posted my tweet, like, for Illinois. But remember, you hadn't heard anything from him for weeks. And then all of a sudden,
yep,
I just had this premonition to pick Illinois. And then all of a sudden, he's smiling, posting I made my decision. It's coming August 18th. So if you follow the breadcrumbs, people, why would I post a tweet and pick Illinois the same day before he posts his decision? I don't know. It's just one of those things, it just happens out of this magic. But so Josiah Knight.
That might be next though. That's August 18th.
Yeah. I'm telling you, who is next, not necessarily one, but who are the next guys to come.
Right.
I don't have a date, though, for Dalen Platt, though, Kev. So I've heard it's going to be soon, okay? But, when I've talked to him, he told me he didn't have a date yet. So I can't say, oh, it's going to be next week. He said he doesn't have a date yet. But from other people who know the situation well, I was told Dalen Platt, the 3-star athlete from Florida, who Wisconsin and others are after, which would be another feather in the cap of Mr. Aaron Henry and Antonio Fanelis to beat their alma mater. I've got Illinois going. Dalen Platt coming to Illinois too. I think that has probably helped push Illinois because those are both, 86 to 87, composite kids who I think would help push Illinois' composite up a little bit in the rankings. But I think that keeps Illinois inside the top 30 to 33. And that'd be, 2 quality kids to have several big Power 5 offers that you've just noticed, these Illinois kids, most of these are big boy offers and SEC schools. And we've had Ole Miss and Mississippi State and Missouri offering a bunch of these kids. We've had a couple now tell Oklahoma no thanks.
Yeah.
I mean, you just got to think about that. This isn't your mom's Illinois team anymore. This isn't Tim Beckman's. This isn't Ron Turner at the end of his career. This isn't majority of Ron Zook's tenure. This isn't the end of his tenure. Things are changing, and Brett Bielema is recruiting at that level he was at Wisconsin when he was, winning 8 to 10 games a year.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at this, I mean, we've got 3 basic 4-stars in the class. Depending on what you're looking at. Khalil Valentine's a 4-star, Turk's a 4-star, Tyshawn Griffin's a 4-star. I'll stand by all 3 of those guys are 4-stars. Pyform is just outside of that. Trey Petty is a stud quarterback. But if you go look at it, I mean, the only guys that are really like, ooh, was that a stretch, man, is really like Amar Reynolds, Carlos Orr, and possibly Tanner Hollinger. And the thing about Illinois in our recruiting classes in the past is like we're going to have 20 plus recruits. And we've got 3 that are stretches. The classes that we've had for the better part of the past decade have been 6, 8, 10 stretches where we're trying to hype up guys and you're like, man, I don't know about this dude, right? And so we've got 3 guys who are stretches, but then at the same time, when you look at their measurables, you look at what they're able to do. It's because of where they play for the most part, especially with Hollinger. He played 8-man football in Nebraska, but the dude's 6'5", 220, got great feet. I honestly wonder is this the guy that all of a sudden in 3 years he's 290 pounds and playing left tackle, and then he's 305 pounds and he's a first-round draft pick, right? Because Bielema's done that, right? He's done that before in the past at Wisconsin. He's done it at Arkansas. So there's just –
and that was actually his fatal flaw that led to his demise at Arkansas, is that he was recruiting those players, developing his offensive linemen at such a high pace that he wasn't able to create depth in time, and he didn't understand that. He expected a few of those guys to stay another year, but then when they left, the depth wasn't there. And that was one of the key things he mentioned about what he's learned and why you see Illinois taking all these offensive linemen, right? Why is Illinois taking – they've got like 4 or 5 already in the class. Why do we need another one? Like they've got Hunter they got Hunter Whitenack. I mean, they got a bunch of young guys. Why do
Magnus Moeller?
Magnus Moeller, who's literally a freaking road grader. Like, why do we got Brandon Henderson, Kev? Right. Henderson, by the way, might see some time this year.
I agree.
And so they got all these young offensive linemen. Why are they recruiting 5, 6, 7 offensive linemen in this class? Because Brett Bielema learned from his mistakes at Arkansas. Because you can't just say, oh, I got 3 or 4 studs on that line, and even if 1 or 2 leave, we'll be fine. No, it really bit him in the ass because 2 of them went to the draft, and then one got injured the next year, and then he had one of the studs that he had from the year before, which he thought he had 3 or 4 of.
Well, look at last
one. Yeah.
We were a 6-person O-line last year. I mean, it really was the starting 5 and Slaughter, right? And it's one of those things. I think he realized that I don't believe that's the case this year. I think we'll have 8 or 9 guys that can actually play, and so he's going to build that, and he's going to build this team around that. So, yeah. And coach says depth in the portal era is essential. I completely agree, and that's what he's doing, and I'm excited about it. So hey, it's all in all, man. It's the CEO knows what he's doing, man.
Yep. And Sean asked if Isaiah Williams is an NFL receiver. I think he's going to get a chance, in the slot. So I think
I've said it before. It's really going to come down to he's got to have a good season. He can come back. I think he can play one more year, if I'm not mistaken.
but I've been told he's not going to do that.
I think he's ready. He's got to go out there and run a 4.5, a 4.52 at worst, like 4.54 maybe, something sub that, and he'll be okay. He'll get a look.
So moving on, before we take if there's any more Q&A before we give our final thoughts for this episode, who joins Merez Johnson for 24? So if you guys have been listening, and many of you do, tons of our current people who join us on YouTube and Twitter and know that I've said that Jason Jackstis from Yorkville, who the staff is going to push and try to get a commit from here in the next few weeks. A bit, just a guy that's a depth piece right away, but who can develop into something really good, because in a couple years, Dane's going to be gone, and so will Merez. Okay. Merez, we hope we can get 2 years out of that guy, but it could be very likely he plays 1, because he's just a monster. He was named to the the Nike EYBL All League Peach Jam team with 4 or 5 other guys who are all in the top 10.
Yep.
And was one of the best 5 players in all of the country. So he's definitely going to be a burger boy now. He's going to be a McDonald's All-American, in my opinion. And he's going to end up getting that 5th star before it's all said and done.
Across all platforms. I mean, on 3, ESPN, 24/7 Rivals. He'll be a 5-star in all of them.
Yep. So that's awesome to hear. But it's also possible too, if he starts showing by the end of that next season, by the end of his first year at Illinois, he can hit those threes. And if he's shooting 30 to 35% when he's hitting those, as an 18 to 19-year-old, that's scary. So. But man, he's just such a rim protector. He, possession guy who's blocking shots, who's efficient, who can find open guys. He's just a competitor, and he's a fierce, nasty competitor. He's going to be the toughest guy on the floor every time. Now, who joins him? I already said Jason Jackstis from Yorkville. But it sounds like they're probably only going to take 1 more guy, 3 guys in the class of 2024. And that's basically if Jeremiah Fears decides to stay in 25, which it looks like probably is right now. So Jaden Glover is the name I'm hearing right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
From New York Wrens, where Kofi Coburn came from. So heck, it might have not Wrens, New York Jayhawks. I apologize. So many darn AAU teams: New York Lightning, New York Wrens, New York Jayhawks. Jayhawks are where Kofi came from. So people I know have asked me, and why would didn't Curbelo come from that same team and area? Well, the guy who runs the Jayhawks is Kofi's mentor, who was with Kofi through the process, and they've had nothing but good experiences with the Illinois coaching staff. So they would have no problem sending Jaden Glover to Illinois. Looks like he's got official visits to St. John's right now. He's working on some other ones, but it does sound like Illinois is officially going to get a visit, an OV.
Yeah, and I know I've heard rumors through the back end that Illinois is not done recruiting Noges.
And he's a name we mentioned, Kevin, here a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
but I don't want to harp on it too much because he's still committed, but yeah, that's still a possibility for sure.
Yeah, my understanding with him is that Illinois was a little frustrated with him in the process. He'd been flirting with them, and that we kind of maybe might have given him a commit or get off the pot kind of deal. And then he did not commit to Illinois and pretty quickly committed to Iowa State, which I think the Illinois coaches were like, you keep saying you're not ready to commit, but we're the leader. commit or we're moving on. He said, I'm not ready to commit yet. Illinois pulls out. He commits to Iowa State. They're like, what the – okay, whatever. Kind of back off him a little bit. Has a really good summer this year. And is the type of player like the Jaden Glover is similar. Like it's the type of player that fits. He's a shooter, a bit more of a wing guy. I mean, Glover's got that can handle the ball a little smaller. Glover fits more like the 2-1, the combo guard up front. Nodris fits more the 3-2. It'd be interesting. I would not call that done yet. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah. But one name I want to throw out there that if he does decide to give Illinois a chance, and they were like, Mikey Lewis is a guy that they'd take in a heartbeat. So, yeah. So I just want to throw that out there too. Mikey Lewis. But it looks like Jaden Glover's coming for an official. And if Noyes decides to stay with Iowa State, Glover's the one to hone in on. I haven't been told like it's Illinois leading or anything, but I know they feel like they've got a good shot because of the relationship they've already set up with, the New York Jayhawks owner, the guy who runs it. And that's just how it works nowadays, guys. I just want everybody to understand that.
Yep.
It's all about relationships. It's not always about how the kid feels about the school and how his whole life, he's wanted to go somewhere. It's about partially that, but it's also about where do your handlers, where do the guys who brought you up and got you there feel like it's the best fit?
And how much money can Hometown Hype Apparel pay me to come to Illinois?
Exactly. And how much cash are they going to get on the other end of it? And that's just how it works. And even if he gets paid a certain amount, don't think some of that's not being funneled up north.
Right.
To your leaders of where you're playing right now. That's just how it works, man. So it's a what is this, that Jay-Z line that Jay Billis loves to use? He's not a businessman. He's a businessman. There we go.
Right. I'm a business man.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. So anyway.
I love this, by the way. There's some questions going on in the chat, and I love it when guys answer some questions onto themselves. Like, why did Jeremiah Williams transfer? Number one is like, I don't know that he's healthy enough to play this year. Number two, I think he was really a backup option for Harmon. We weren't sure if Justin Harmon was going to be able to pass the classes. Harmon's obviously with the team now. That's all been handled. And third, lastly, like Coach said, Jeremiah Williams, I believe, was involved a little bit in the Iowa State gambling. I don't even want to call it.
The game. He was involved in some of that. There was a lot going on with what you can and can't do, and he jumped in on some of the gambling situation. And Whitman wants no part of that. So
yeah, he's a hard staunch on that. And then one last question, I think, before we get to last thoughts is, would JoJo Hayden get some playing time? I think JoJo Hayden will definitely get some playing time if he really, really wants to play as a freshman, especially on special teams.
Yes.
He's got the wheels to do it. It'll be interesting to see what's going to happen because if there's a spot where a guy can come in and play, and I think he has the ability, I think that those two middle linebacker spots, Roziek and Odaluga probably filling, and Barnes are the three guys.
Yeah.
I bury the best guy in Tariq Barnes. My apologies, brother. But those are the three guys that are really going to be patrolling that. So you obviously got to get a fourth and maybe a fifth. And JoJo might be able to sneak in there.
Yeah, but I think definitely after Barnes leaves, JoJo is going to be in that probably third, where he'll be what Roziak is this season.
Everybody's really high on Roziak. I mean, like really high. And then, like, I'm an Odaluga guy. Like, every time I watch that dude, he is one of the best pass rushers I've ever seen from the middle linebacker spot at his age. And he's a freaking he is a physical freak.
He's just, remember, he was like a fullback, and then they're like, nope, you're playing linebacker. And then a couple games last year, you could tell he doesn't have instinct, but it's like, hey, there's a screen pass coming. He's just like, I don't give a like I'm coming.
Devil, dude. I mean, he just is like, he's coming. He has incredible pass rushing instincts. And if he was 6'4", he'd be a defensive end, like outside linebacker that would just wreak havoc. But he's 6 foot with the biggest freaking arms you've ever seen. And
again, though, that's just scary when you're talking about like how you got Odaluga, you got Coleman, you got Ezekiel Holmes, you got Jacobs, you got Alex Bryant.
Yep.
I'm just saying, Illinois. I'm just saying, it's going to be unpleasant for many quarterbacks.
The question will be like the depth at the end spot, the front three. The depth with that it'll be.
Is it so with Randolph and Newton? Are we looking at Taryn from Northwestern, right?
Ron Edwards, yeah.
Ron Edwards, and I know they added a couple other pieces, but yeah. And then I'm thinking because Woods left, who's with the Colts.
He was a transfer from Vanderbilt.
Yeah. But I get it. It's like who's going to be the second string D line coming into when those guys need. But let me tell you, Newton and Randolph aren't going to be out of the game much. So,
well, that's a challenge, is because I even hate saying these words. Injuries are part of sports. Like, it happens.
It does.
And both those guys, have probably missed a play or two because of injury. Like, they haven't missed any significant time, thank God. But that's a challenge. So that's a big scare for this team right now, is those two guys staying healthy. Obviously, all three of those guys are actually staying healthy.
Yeah. And while Kev, no jokes about golf season, the golf, whatever you want to talk about.
Oh, it's in Final Thoughts, bro. It's in Final Thoughts, 100%, dude.
Okay, and so that's just a tradition that we do here. We and eventually Fade the Deuce is coming back. I just want to mention that.
Yeah, nobody's ever bet baseball understands why we don't talk about it right now.
Yeah.
We got Bryce Barnes, Ced McConnell, Kurtz. Those are all guys in the middle. The end spots are going to be questioned. So.
Oh, we can't forget Bryce Barnes. So anyway,
Gibson City.
He's Gibson City's finest. I know that. And Aiden Lawfrey, you'll get that when Bryce leaves. But do you think Myers Leonard will stick in the league again now? Yes, I do. I think he'll get another opportunity with some team to pick up maybe for another couple years. The fact that the Bucs took a chance on him and he stayed with them throughout the playoff run was great. Again, I'm happy for people who get second chances because everybody deserves one.
Yep.
I'm glad he got one. So now I'll start off with my final thoughts. I'm just happy and blessed to be able to do this every week, and happy we have our sponsor. We appreciate all you guys, and things are going good for me at the moment in my life professionally and with this show here, and I don't let anything bring me down. But I want to finish this. I'm so glad that we got Dre Gibbs Lawhorn on the show last week because he was able to speak his truth, and seeing so many salty people want to try to run him down and his mother down and then me down even more because I stuck up for them. I can tell you this, his mom has made her fair share of mistakes in her life, but we all are able to and get the chance to stand up, rectify those, and try to be the best person we can be. And I believe that she is doing that, and she cares about her son very much. She's going to be a great fan of Illinois sports. And there's nothing wrong with a woman who had hard times picking herself up and trying to make the best of it. So Dre loves his mom. She's appreciated us having him on the show and letting him speak his truth. He didn't end up going to Purdue, and for some reason there's a lot of salty people who can't stand that he came to Illinois. And one of the things that I said to him and his mother is that as much as you guys get bad mouths and much as they trash you guys, is that if you guys were so terrible, they shouldn't want you anyway. So who cares that you came to Illinois, right? But they do care he came to Illinois because he is a good player. He is a great, he's even better young man too. So we will be having him back on the show, Kev. I've talked to him a couple times. He looks forward to coming back onto the show. And I think you guys got to see the real Dre. Who cares what they said about Dre? Well, that was the real Dre. So great young man.
One of those things like nobody's throwing stones at Brandon Lee because he transferred, and I'm not trying to be a jerk to him, right? Like, I live in Oklahoma City. We were all super sad and mad and butthurt when Kevin Durant left. We didn't cry a lot of tears when Thabo Sefolosha left, right? And so that's all you need to know about it. People are mad that Dre Gibbs Longhorn chose Illinois because that's a player that Purdue wanted. It's a really highly talented kid with a ton of skills. They didn't lose a guy who was going to be a 4-year bench warmer. They lost a guy who is a legitimate All Big Ten talent and NBA talent.
Oh, 100%, man. I just wanted to leave with that because that was a topic that came up this week, and and I've told him keep your eye on the prize and focus on Spain. And man, there's a bunch of jealous, envious people that wish they were you. So,
amen, absolutely. And I'm gonna go with my final thoughts. Oh man, guys, like there's not a lot of sports going on right now outside of baseball. Most of us are Cubs, Cardinals, or White Sox fans, and all of us are kind of like just hanging our head a little bit. It's one of those weird situations where the Cubs might be the best of the three, and they're still not that good. I'm a Cubs fan, so what do we have to cling to other than Kevin hanging out in Vegas with some of the NBA Summer League guys? I was actually in the gym with Jaren Jackson, really cool cat, but. Titleist.
Damn, he's
Titleist.
He's name dropping over here. Gosh.
Yeah, absolutely. I was in the gym working out with Jaren Jackson. Talked to Caleb McConnell, the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. Really cool kid, man. I talked to him for a hot minute. He's awesome. Some of my
keep talking, Kev. I got to post this because he got what I was saying about everybody want to talk about Dre. Look at this.
Nothing comes out when they move the lips. It's about the gibberish. Like, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it was really cool. I mean, hey, listen, I'd encourage everybody, if you can get out to Vegas, like you go in July, first of all, you can get hotels at better prices. The NBA Summer League, you've got access to a lot of people. The WNBA All-Star Game was there. I saw the most amount of 6'4" or 5" women I've ever seen in my life. They were staying at the hotel, so it's kind of cool. But here's the thing: Illinois Golf School. Steve Stricker won his 5th major in his last 8 starts. He won his 3rd senior major of the year this year. What he has done now is he has really put himself in the opportunity to go into the PGA Hall of Fame, the World Golf Hall of Fame, I should say. He won 12 PGA Tour wins. I believe today was his 16th Champions win. It's his 7th major on the Champions Tour. It was incredible what he did down the stretch today. I thoroughly enjoyed watching it. He is playing some of his best golf ever. By winning today, he's going to be able to play in the Players Championship next year, which is what they call golf's 5th major. And also, he is 4th now in all-time major wins in the Champions PGA Tour, right? Senior Tour is what a lot of people used to call it. He's tied for 4th. He's tied for 4th with Hale Irwin. Number 1 is Bernhard Langer, which is incredible what he's done. Number 2 is Gary Player, one of the greatest players of all time. And number 3 is Jack Nicklaus. So this is where Steve Stricker is putting himself in. And I know not a lot of fans are like, you guys aren't like the avid golf fan that I am, but it's just Steve Stricker was the first guy to really put Illinois golf on the map along with Mike Small. And so Mike Small and Steve Stricker are great friends. It was really cool to watch his interview. There have been 4 senior majors this year. Steve Stricker has won 3. There's one more. It's the Senior Open Championship. It's like the Open Championship, so it's overseas. It'll be interesting to see if Steve can win 4 in a single season. I don't think it's ever been done before. He is just smashing the field. Here's the other thing. Really cool situation today. Adrian DeMont de Chaussart had a really good 4th round at the Corn Ferry. He finished 6th. So he's finished 1st, 2nd, 8th, 6th. All top 10s. He's basically assured his PGA Tour card for next year. So we're going to have another Illinois player on the PGA Tour next year to go along with Nick Hardy. That's awesome stuff. Brian Campbell was in the mix for a little bit.
What about Thomas Peters?
He's still messing around with the Live Tour stuff. So Peters shows up. Dietrich was in contention in the Greater Scottish Open for a minute. He was in 2nd. He had a bad weekend. Rory ended up winning. So Dietrich showed well for Illinois there. Brian Campbell showed well for a little bit. Fiegels did not have his best weekend. Campbell was actually 2nd in the Corn Ferry for a little bit, but once again didn't have a good weekend. DeChaussart had tied for the best round today to move him into the top 10. The guy's a closer. 1st, 2nd in the playoff, 8th, 6th. And so it's just pretty cool. Like I know we don't have a ton of huge golf fans here, but I know we have some. And I talk about this all the time. I'd rather talk about what's between the lines than what's outside the lines. Outside the lines is juicy stuff. It's rumor mill. It's stuff, and I know people love to talk about it. It's funny. I was talking to my mom today as she was ordering a Keepin orange and blue shirt. By the way, dude, folks, go look at those shirts. They're dope. First of all, you're not going to find those at Game Day. I'm not knocking Game Day. You're not going to find those at Fanatics. I'm not knocking Fanatics. You're going to be really cool with the Keepin It Orange and Blue shirt. People are like, where you get those shirts? Tell them, man. Hometown Hype Apparel. Go get yourself one. But my mom was asking about the podcast. She's like, I've never really listened. And I said, Mom, the only time you really need to listen is when basketball or football are in season, because my mom does not really care about the outside the line stuff, which a lot of you guys like geek out like we do. But I'm excited about the season. It's coming up. I think we got a couple cool things coming up. We got a couple people who are really ready to join the podcast with us. Jeffrey the Greek, guy from TNT Sports. We want to do this closer to football season. That's right around the corner. We're going to do some predictions. We're gonna do some swag t-shirt giveaways too. Absolutely, we got a lot of cool things coming up, and possibly maybe Ryan and I have thrown around here to our listeners. Just chime in if you like. We've talked about doing a trivia contest between two listeners, bringing them on, giving them some swag, giving them some apparel, something like that to the winner. Do something pretty quick. We'll do it over like 10 minutes. Be in and out. Congratulate the winner. No time for you to look on your phone and Google. We'll get you on the screen. You put your phone away.
Yep.
Fun. So we got some of that stuff coming up before we start with the football season. Once the football season gets in, we'll be full swing there. And we got my buddy, potentially, talk to him tonight, very interested in joining us for a Fade the Deuce once a week offset podcast that Ryan will host and we'll filter in. So excited about what's coming on, man.
Yes, sir. I'm just going to host. I'm not the betting guy. That's the man there. And you, who is it that's going to be joining us?
I'll talk to you about that offline once we confirm it, because I got a text confirmation from him before, like right before the show started, so I haven't had a chance to run it by you. So that's not fair to say, hey, yeah, he's joining the show. But we'll
okay, cool.
Hey, Coach,
and Coach,
what sizes do you need? What sizes do you need?
Yes, yeah, for sure. And Coach, let me tell you, back when I had Illini Pulse, he had an article. He won, actually. We did a contest, and it was like, I was going to give him a gift card, and then all kinds of other things happened. So I owe you a shirt. We'll make sure we get you one. You can DM me on Twitter. I'm pretty sure we've DM'd before, so you can just message me on there and give me your size and the color you want, and I'll make sure it gets to you. So, yeah, there's just a lot of fun things popping and coming in this future. And, again, we're just doing it because we'd love to do it, and we appreciate that you tune in. And please get a shirt. I'll post the link again after this.
I mean, they're dope.
They are dope. They're good. And, again, this is just a normal tee that's his logo, Hometown Hype Apparel. They're comfortable. They feel good. And, again, you'll be looking sharp at the first game. I've already got a text saying he's got 10 to 20 already sold. So, and he's going to keep coming if you guys keep buying. So we appreciate you. You'll be definitely stepping your Illini gear up. So with that said, have a great week. We'll talk to you soon. Swami out.
ILL.
INI.